Hi, friends. My name is host Derek, and I'm here to say welcome to my live stream today. As you can tell, I'm a pretty great rapper. Um, but today, I want to talk about something pretty important, and that is which transitive verbs are we going to be using today? Which are today's transitive verbs? The official transitive verbs of the day. They are Wiggles, Fondles, Jiggles, and Jostles. Hi, Nicholas Watson. Given that those are the only four transitive verbs that are the official verbs of the day, Nicholas Watson, when you go to transitive verb, a direct object today, which transitive verb are you going to favor? Is it wiggles? Is it fondles, jiggles, or jostles? Are you more of a jostler or fondler? You look like a fondler. I'm not going to lie. Nicholas Watson, you got that fondler vibe about you. Now, Winston's mom, clearly a jostler. There are only four types of people in the world: wigglers, fondlers, jigglers, and jostlers. Oh, that's because you're a fondler type. That's normal for fondlers. No, you're never going to be any good at jiggling. Fondlers are always terrible at jiggling. Um, there's some people who claim to be like a waggle. There's no such thing as a waggle. That's fucking bullshit. It's imaginary. You know, it's like just do it the way it's supposed to be. Wiggle, fondle, jiggle, or jostle. Okay, well, see, a lot of people try to say that, but they don't get the whole idea of cognitive transitive verbs. Um, you can only you can wiggle and jostle, but you can't both wiggle and fondle while jiggling, and you can't fondle and jiggle while jostling. So that's just how it is. All right, it's just how it is, Rachel Lapalosa. You always come in here so adversarial and fiery. Why is that, huh? I joke, I jest. Hello, darling. Hello, my sweet potato pie. All right, you're a jiggler. Rachel's a jiggler. Nicholas Watson's a fondler. Winston's mom's a jostler. My INFP friend JJ, that means you are a wiggler. Yes, Rachel the Morning has excellent jiggles. She's got spectacular jiggles. She's got heaving, bouncy jiggles. She's a jiggler. Um, okay, so I don't know what inspired me to title this live stream Jiggles, I mean, Wiggles, Fondles, Jiggles, and Jostles. But I don't regret it. I don't regret it. That's for sure. You jiggle around seeing things from multiple perspectives. Are you sure you aren't wiggling, though? Because you look like a fondler and you smell like a wiggler. um, it depends, Winston's mom. It depends. They go through stages. Sometimes ultra sensitive. I'm talking about mine. Um, Sometimes not. Can you flop? Yeah, okay. Some people say flopping is the fifth function, plopping is the sixth function, um, and and but is there? Then there have to be two more functions after that. There has to be two more. So if there's plopping and there's flopping, then I guess there could be um, thumping and bumping as well. Flopping, flopping, thumping, and bumping are the backside functions of wiggle, fondle, jostle, and jiggle, respectively. I want to hear Winston's perspective on Rachel's astrology question as well. Women who don't have breasts have sensitive nipples. Do you have fake boobs, Winston's mom? Boob job. That's what they call that. I'm going to get a boob job. You'd think that was like some sort of sexual act, but no, it's actually surgery. It's not very sexy at all. Well, good for you, Winston's mom. Good for you. You picture some like um, sensual lady on the street going, "Hey there, big boy, you want a boob job?" And then somebody who doesn't understand the term goes, that sounds sexy. And what goes in? All right, and they start filling out all these insurance forms, and they're like, what's going on here? And then somebody comes in and shoots them with some anesthetic, and they walk out with big boobs on them. And they're like, what? Wait, you're telling me nose job isn't? Yeah, right, exactly. That's what I had. That same experience. You had the experience where a girl had to explain to you that's not what that meant. Oh, I did too. That you know, you're gonna tear open my nostril, obviously. Uh, that's what it means to be a meta-analyst. To assume that the natural meaning of things metaphysically can be impelled upon the physical world without any consequences. Well, it's not true. Not true. There would be a really odd kind of porn if there's a genre of porn that featured women with extremely large nostrils and men with small penises. That would be interesting. I don't think I really want to watch it, but I bet you could find such a pair of people in the world. Honest communication is vital. What's okay? So Venus square opposition It's Venus square Neptune. A square is opposition, a place to look for promise solve, perhaps. So Venus square Neptune means that we have problems with communication, Rachel? I don't think we really have problems with communication at all. I think we are winning the communication race. The other couples, they're falling behind our communication. Our communication is deceptive. What's deceptive about it? I mean, I understand that you're analyzing what astrology says about it, but I'm asking. Okay, well, that's a good answer. We only see things through rose-colored glasses. Makes me sad. Well, Rachel, I'd like to point out that's not seeing things through rose-colored glasses. Somebody's getting a little pessimistic. Hey, hey, hey! Turn that frown upside down, Rachel. Come on now. You know we can't say we only see things through rose-colored glasses. That wouldn't be positive enough. I don't see things through rose-colored glasses. I mean, it's like seeing things through rose-colored glasses implies some sort of denial. Like, like there's nothing wrong with Rachel. The garage did something to her. Okay, I mean that would be rose-colored glasses. Um, I'm a meaningsmith. I understand that you're a knower, and you want there to be an NI truth here that's determinate about this. But in some areas, it is the case that my meaningsmithing is the most salient element. It's like you want you can want to call it rose-colored glasses. I want to call it creating a positive reality. The thing is, I'm not one of those persons who mistakenly believes that you create the positive reality by saying those words. I'm somebody who believes that the two processes of saying positive words and being positive in your speech and in your thinking and having a good life circumstantially, those things go hand in hand. That it's like credit or or elite status as a sports program. You can't you can't get that status until you have it. And it's kind of a weird unfair reality or something. But the reason I don't see things through rose-colored glasses for sure is because if I saw things as other than rosy, I'd be seeing through poo-colored glasses. Why? Because things actually are rosy. I got a really good situation going on. That's to talk about me. Uh, I would like to think that the same thing's true for you, frankly. If you look objectively at your situation, what you got going on, and all that stuff, factoring in the alternatives, I think you got lots of reasons to see a lot of roses. So I'm a person who's not saying by positivity we make the reality be positive. It's not that simple. It's much more nuanced than that. But I am saying that if we're seeing reality as being less than positive right now, you and me, you or me, then we are being spoiled complainers because there, our reality actually is rosy. We have way more liberty than most people, and frankly, even more freedom than most people. Although our resource condition isn't as not like we're rolling or anything, but neither of us is at risk of homelessness or anything. Why Venus is in his second and Neptune in 12th. That's what I believe I believe and rules the 12th house of confinement. Confinement, hospitals, secrets. So we need to see what house the planets lay in and what houses the planets also aspect. We need the two houses. All right, sorry, I don't mean to be fighty, Rachel. If I come across that way, I'm just arguing out the thoughts, the line of reasoning here, I guess. Um, the other thing I need to remember, Rachel, is while it's true that you and I have had some strained moments in the past that were based on somebody's negative astrology report about us or other such externals that I would deem less significant than the experiential knowing. um, it's always been sort of temporary and uh, and one factor you consider, it hasn't really been the determinant factor. You've got you also have a more nuanced relationship with your NI stuff than I sometimes fear you do. In other words, I get that you don't run too much with this too far in the doubt or fear or questioning area, uh, and that's me needing to learn to trust you too. So I mean, me needing to learn to trust your discretion regarding um, NI stuff. Was basically NI stuff, astrology, tarot. I like the stuff, but I'm not worried about it influencing my decision making too much. Sometimes I may worry about that regarding you, but you haven't actually demonstrated that to me ever in the past. Um, that's just my fear mostly when you bring up things like this. Swift Eagle has a question. Go ahead, Swift Eagle, ask it, please. Oh, query me. Hi, I'm Running Bear. I want to introduce you to Clumsy Eagle. Clumsy Eagle? That's an odd name. When Carl Jung referred to introverted intuitives, did he mean all INXX? I don't know. I haven't read the source works. I don't know him well enough to comment on his work. I don't know. Oh, probably he meant it just NI downs, almost for sure. He saw the. I learned this from a source like the other day. He saw the. He didn't see there as being backside functions really. I've had terrible astrology connections that last being long, very long. Well, love me very long. Okay. Uh, yeah, I know. That's me being fearful. Is all. I'm at the end of my karmic journey. This is my next to last trip to your planet. I have much to do before going. I am teasing or not. Do. What does that mean? Winston's mom. Oh, I'm a fondler. Definitely a fondler. Jung had a mental breakdown midlife crisis. It's my favorite kind of midlife crisis. Am I having a midlife crisis? Ooh, I want to have a midlife crisis. There's Dad's text. How much poo must I put in my pants? Put in my pants. Put in my pants before you do what you got with your hands. Oh, in the morning. Um, the hero's journey there is no spoon. Penultimatum. No, I got one. I need a don't be sitting here, stand over there, is what I need. Self versus self. It's like host Eric versus Sergeant host Eric. Okay, so this idea of individuation linking to an understanding of ultimate connectivity is I don't want to watch this. Very much an NI idea. And it's Jung is saying Jung's displaying basically a function bias there, saying our intuition, which is how we universally know, is ultimately I'm a sharpshooter guy. It's ultimately sort of the most important aspect of attention. Think about NI from my perspective, hang out with NI-DOMs. I like to hang out with NI-DOMs. Obviously, my girlfriend's an NI-DOM. And my take on it is they're subject to the same amount of function bias wrongness as everybody is. It's just that INFJ function bias wrongness is attained when they fail to incorporate the particular enough. Eric, as an NETI user, where do you draw the line between what is practical and what is universal? Well, things that are practical and universal are not necessarily exclusive. Things that are particular and universal are, I think maybe you mean particular there. It may have autocorrect to do or something. How do I draw the line between things that are particular and universal? I mean, let me smoke a cigarette, and I come back and answer this question more precisely. The thing is, it depends how you're using it, but I'll tell you how to make the distinction when I get back from the cigarette. Or I'll bring a camera over here so I can still hang out with you while I'm smoking. Close your eyes. Give me your hand, darling. Can you feel my heart beating? Do you understand? Winston's mom, your penultimatum has me concerned. So, what is the job of the hero in the hero's journey? I want to know what that is. Is there an agreed upon understanding what the job of the hero is in the hero's journey? In that general, presumably human wide archetypal path of the individual? It's funny, Winston's mom. You signed up to win tickets. So it's like you entered all the like radio contests or stuff that didn't say open only to residents of Dubuque or whatever. I think of Columbus, Ohio as some place that you receive packages from. Like if I were to order a model plane or something, it would come from Columbus, Ohio. I'd like there to be a musical artist known as Elton Billy John Joel. Elton Billy John Joel or EBJJ. He's kind of a cross between Elton John and Billy Joel. Thing is, between if you were to compare the quality of artist, Elton John and Billy Joel just annihilates the fuck out of Elton John. He's so much better than Elton John. It's unbelievable. Elton John is terrible. Terrible. Terrible, terrible. Nobody should like Elton John. I'm sorry. He has terrible songs. He's terrible. Okay. So this question about particularist and universalist is a very good question and one I need to answer with some care because it's something I do that's kind of clumsy, which is well, you know a lot more Billy Joel songs than you think, for sure, Matthew Allister. You'd be surprised how many great songs are Billy Joel songs. Every story is a journey. At some point, the hero must make a choice. The choice is the hero's journey. If we make the right choices, if we hold true to ourselves, we find ourselves, we rise up. Rocket Man is a good song when Bill Shatner does it. Correct. RW, you are correct there. But, you know, Billy Joel's songs are good when he does them. So a lot of times I use universalist to modify the word metric. In that instance, what I'm saying is the same thing as an objective metric, a metric that's the same for everybody. So TI is a metric that's the same for everybody. Not everybody uses it the same at all, but it's the same metric. In other words, you can have your team of TI users, I can have my team of TI users, and even if we're adversaries, we'll both agree on what's valid, invalid, basic stuff like that. You know, if you're talking about basic deductive arguments and such. Whereas a particularist metric is one that, in that instance, would be you're using a judgment mechanism that other people don't have the same judgment mechanism for. Like, for example, if I'm deciding whether or not if I'm hiring somebody and I'm deciding who I hire based on how my body feels during the interview. So I felt a little queasy stomach during this person, and I had a little bit of a headache during this person, but I felt great during this person, so I'm going to hire person 3. Now, that's a particularist metric because a better way to put it in that instance would be a subjective metric because it's using a rubric of to judge the thing that only one person can access, the person who has the rubric inside it in their own body. I'll get to your question in a bit, John Georges. But the other way in which I use particularist is in regards to sort of forms of accountability, or modes of modes of evaluation. So, like in court, the the guilty or innocent matter is judged as on universalist approach. The jury says the person is either guilty beyond a reasonable doubt or not guilty, and the the details, the particular details that may or may not be mitigating circumstances for a crime, um, don't matter. So maybe you had a very, very good reason to steal that thing. It's still theft. Maybe your reason even was um, like, look, there's a flood coming, uh, and my my house was underwater, and I needed to get into this. My family was starting to drown. I needed to get into this store and steal this inflatable boat. Uh, it's still theft, and you're still guilty of theft. And so the universalist in that instance doesn't take into account any particular details that are not salient in determining the question at hand, which is guilt or innocence. The reason a trial is put into two stages is because it's, or more than two actually, but is because they want the punishment phase distinct from the guilt and innocent phase, because it's been determined that as a universalist rule, we should consider the particularist in punishment, but we should not consider it in guilt and innocence. So what this means is it doesn't matter how much you needed that boat regarding the question of whether or not you stole it. Now, once we, and that question comes first. Once we agree whether or not you stole it, or that we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you stole it, if we do that, then we can talk about the particular circumstances, because that does matter a little bit in how much we punish you. But it doesn't matter at all in the logical question of, are you guilty? He's Israeli. So what would an INTP who is not an intellectual like? That's I don't know if that's a crime or not. So the answer to the question of particular or universalist is somewhat a parsing that's made within a frame. So it's kind of challenging to give you a definition that I'd be satisfied with at the moment. It's like for any given question, well, it's just like it's my party and I'll cry if I want to, right? So particularist, it's my party and I'll cry if I want to. Universalist particularist, it's everyone's party and I'll cry if I want to. Particularist universalist, it's my party and nobody should cry. Universalist, it's everybody's party and nobody should cry. So it's basically a matter of sort of the locus of ownership, I guess. Like the universalist frame doesn't really take ownership of anything. It says my subjective metrics are largely unused, and that's best because it's, we're all here together, and it's sort of like it's an FI-polar frame. I think you mean an INTP that's slacker when it comes to learning, the difference between academic and intellectual. So look, is it possible to encounter an INTP that isn't into like philosophy and stuff? I would say probably no. I'll give an example here of host Zachary, the very first OG host Zachary. He was born and raised in Kentucky to a family of like SFPs, and he, his his description of his brother is, my brother's the kind of guy who would sell his car for gas money. um, and and yet he was like every INTP, just all about philosophy and various schools of thought and understanding things and discourse and all that shit. He sounded like me, It's like he talked kind of like me. And it didn't matter that he wasn't raised in an intellectual house, that he was not exposed to books at a young age by his parents, that none of that stuff mattered. He became who he was regardless. Benjamin is an example of a very realized ISTP, for sure. For sure. Rachel, I'm going to be inspired by you, and I'm going to make an effort to do a little bit of cleaning right now. Is being very picky with how clothing feels an IDOM thing? No. That's not an NI thing. That would be an SI thing. Especially SITE. It'd be ISTJ more than anything else, probably. ISTJ is like that. ISTJ doesn't care what the clothing looks like, really, but they definitely want to be comfortable. Also, like, Cameron was showing me this jacket he had, and it had this like weird gay ass like corporate logo on it, which was like in pastels or something, and he's like, yeah, look at this brand of jacket. It's a great brand. It costs like $300. I got it on eBay for $30. And his point is, I guess it was so cheap just because it has this thing on it. I'm like, yeah, well, it's a good jacket. Oh yeah, they're really good jackets, warm and comfortable. And blah, blah, blah. He didn't give a fuck. This got a logo on it. That's FE Polar, He thinks, well, this isn't ideal, but it's not a deciding factor when you consider all the other positives of this jacket. Oh no, I mean, the thing that what you will find in INFJs is they're the type that's likely to get that one or two articles of clothing that are, well, ENFP is kind of like this too a little bit. Rachel and I, when she was here, we went to this thrift store, and we had the the greatest / worst lost purchase opportunity in history. At that thrift store, there were his and her white fur coats that were the pimpinest fucking coats you will ever see in your life. They were $200 a piece. And we were just too broke. I just couldn't justify buying them. I think I had the money for it, but I was too broke to spend it on them because I needed to spend it on something else. Uh, but man, that's going to be a regret I have for the rest of my life that I wasn't able to acquire those jackets. INFJ is the type that they'll have a few articles like of clothing like that, like some sort of vintage hip hop jacket, collectible jacket that was born in this video or something that only the super coolest people will recognize as this artifact of extreme coolness. They might have that shit going on. But yeah, those two jackets, man. Oh, Rachel, those were meant for us too. I've been so sad I haven't even gone back to that store again. I know they're not there anymore. Yeah, I wish we could have gotten those. We should have taken pictures of ourselves with them in the store, Rachel. Did we do that? I don't think we did. Those are the best jackets ever. They were like vintage, actual fur coat. Like it was made out of some sort of very soft white fur, probably I don't know, mink or I forget what fur it was. I think it said on it what fur it was, but I forget what it was. It had like that old school had that old school label inside, like you could tell it was made in like 1954 or something. They were great. You're matching his and hers, and they were fit us both perfectly. Like insanely, they were made for us. Beige, okay, whitish, tannish. Yeah, it's kind of whitish, but not like snow white. Like she says, it had kind of beigeish streaks in it. I guess I don't know. I think typing by micro expressions is it's fine to include that in your repertoire of typing things, but you can't justify anything with that. In other words, it might be a trick you use to verify your own other stuff or to see, to work in conjunction with other stuff. I think there's something to it, but you can't justify to another person why they're this type using physical cues because there's no inherent link to between the physical cue and the function. If I say, well, you're definitely not an extroverted intuitor, well, why not? Because extroverted intuition is the generation of random ideas on the fly. And I've asked you these questions. You've not been able to demonstrate any capacity to do that. So it's your actual skill demonstration here is inconsistent with somebody who's habitually using that attentional manner. So so that's why you can't be in any dome. But if there's micro expressions, there's no equivalent to that. It doesn't link back to anything. You can't cross check it. So it's not. It's if somebody says you are this type and I've typed you using micro expressions, then you should say that doesn't convey. It doesn't convey to me any information that I can take to the bank and say, well, why am I that type? I just have to say, well, this guy says, and it's because he correlates these kind of expressions with this thing, and I apparently have those kind of expressions. Well, then you just have to have faith that the guy's correlations are correct. You can't. There's nothing objective you can check, right? Would I wear a women's jacket, or am I bound by stuff? I don't know. Is this a women's hat? Because I wear this hat a lot. And I mean, does this hat look cool? Yes, extremely. If you're asking a question, Eric, do you like pimping hats? The answer is obviously yes, I do. If I had this hat, and that jacket, it might be a little bit overkill, but with that jacket, the hat's even more true than it is now. The thing is this: I only like to wear hats that don't make me a liar. Don't worry, everybody. This hat doesn't make me a liar. A cheesy rap artist hat. Hey, guys, look, I am a rap artist, okay? So I can wear a rap artist hat. I am bringing the messages of the streets to your ears via my rap music. It's hard, it's now, it's urgent, it's urban. It's Waka Waka Waka. Lisa Frank's urban clothing line. Oh, good. Well, that's great. Lisa Frank and I are great friends. It doesn't have any label or anything in it. I got it in Kansas at a gas station. That's the urban part. I got it in Pratt, Kansas. Pratt, Kansas is not very urban. That's where I got this. I got this hat at a gas station in Pratt, Kansas. It was the only hat that was like this at the gas station too. The rest of them were all um, a lot more normal. Which part of this is not colorful? This part right here. That's not very colorful. It's pretty much colorless right there. I'm trying to think like the group, doing my best to shut down my opinions. I leave those for places tolerant of opinions. Well, I got some bad news for you, Joel and Henry. You failed to shut down your opinion that this is the place that's not tolerant of opinions. Fortunately for you, even though you keep expressing such opinions, this place is extremely tolerant of opinions, and thus you are still here expressing them. Jessica Seinfeld's is the most terrific thrift store. They have vintage brassieres that will knock your socks off. Who is she? Jessica Seinfeld. Is that Jerry Seinfeld's wife? DPDR is definitely an NI down thing. Dealt with it for years. What's DPDR? Derealization, depersonalization? Oh, I don't know what that is exactly. I don't know what derealization or depersonalization is. I'd have to look it up. DRDP? Double rectal double penetration. That's DRDP. I'm gonna Google that. I'm gonna Google that. I'm gonna Google that. I'm gonna Google that. Here I go. I'm gonna Google that. Gonna Google that. Depersonalization, derealization disorder involves a persistent and recurring feeling of being detached from one's body and mental processes, like an outside observer of one's life, or a feeling of being detached from one's surroundings. I sometimes feel that, like I'm an outside observer of my own life. It's a fairly short-lived feeling, but thanks, Rachel. I love how correct you are. It's okay to have opinions. It's not okay to attack the person having different opinions. The idea is to dissect the opinion of the person. True that. True that. True that. True that. You were attacked all over? Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't never call it an attack. I'd more call it a delayed response. You know, uh, you seem to be completely ignoring your own contributions to the thing. Did I bust your chops? Yeah. Uh, Did I come down on you a little hard? Maybe, maybe. But you know, you've been you have this long history now of being snarky, like you were right there, and and actually like what I would consider attacking me, because what I consider attacking me is saying things like I'm not being logical, or it's like have whatever opinions you want, but if you want to come here and tell me I'm wrong, then explain why in a way that makes some sense. Uh, you ontologize a lot, you know. I think probably it's weird. It's weird that you would say you were attacked all over, because I was responding in general to what the stuff you said. I was pointing out problems with what you said, and pointing out that there's this pattern of sort of aggro wrongness that's not related to me at all. I'm not evoking this from you. I'm not or provoking this in you. Well, it's working. The fact that you are choosing to exercise discretion is not necessarily a bad thing. But if you're gonna say that it's wrong of people to call you uncivilized and stupid, fine. But you're gonna need to do a little objective self-evaluation as well. You can't just objectively evaluate what other people did wrong and not evaluate your own behavior at all. That's just how it is, man. No, any doms don't share that quality with NI doms in general. Um, it's that, or it's a different kind of experience. We forget that we're an animal. Jared, why you gotta shame me? Why you gotta make me ashamed of myself? Don't you have a little bit of FI consideration in you? Don't you care about my feelings? Yeah, I see. Well, Gastros, I mean, the thing is, here's the deal about this whole like policing the chat stuff. As the channel's gotten older, or as I've become more comfortable with being on YouTube and what it means and all that kind of stuff, um, I've come to understand that you can only uphold the value of free expression so much. And I'm getting distracted. I don't know what I was saying. Too many things going on here in the chat that distract me. Goss draws, that's right. Okay, so the thing is, I use more or less a subjective metric now to determine whether or not somebody has to be timed out, and that's basically my read on their level of spitefulness. So, in this instance, I don't have what I would consider a TI sound policy on timing people out, a clear rule, or I'm not interested necessarily in being fair about it, because I'm a pretty good judge of when somebody is being spiteful or is predominantly expressing spite. Then I don't really want to I don't want to encourage that. I don't want to. I don't have any need to, nor any even logical reason why I ought to allow, encourage, or otherwise enable people who are spiteful. I'd say just trying to do me harm. And there's a fair amount of people who are spiteful. Now, there's another level of person who's not spiteful, but is reflexively adversarial. So I would say that nothing inherently wrong with being reflexively adversarial. But in that instance, the adversarialness of a person, whether or not it earns response from me, is going to depend on how effectively adversarial it is. So it's going to have to be effectively adversarial on my friend, which is TI effective, and then I'll respond to it for sure. But if it doesn't do any TI work itself, then I'm probably going to leave it unresponded to. If the lack of responsiveness from me starts prompting a bunch of attacks on me, then eventually I'll respond. But I think it's an interesting question, like how much leeway to give people, and what's the right amount of trigger pulliness on time outing people, banning people, whatever. You'll note also that around here, people very rarely get hidden from the channel or something, banned. That almost never does that happen. It's almost always. I'm not talking to you, Joel Nathan Henry. I'm talking about the thing in general. This is a universalist frame and a universalist tool function. You are a blip on my radar. I've had a million views in the history of this channel. Maybe not a million, but a lot of them. I've had a long series of random people who, for whatever reason, make all sorts of various variations of adversarialness. I'm not talking about you, okay? I'm actually really surprised because you seem to be actually making an attempt to segue out of that, which is impressive and rare. Usually that never happens. So congratulations, good job. I am talking about the phenomenon of people coming in here and being very adversarial with me. This is a phenomenon that occurs because of a couple of different reasons. One, some people see me as a bit of a fastest gun in the West and they want to come try their hand at me. Others see themselves as a fastest gun in the West and find me threatening, but don't want to actually do real battle, because then that would reveal that they're not actually the fastest gun in the West. There are those who just feel in general that I'm oppositional to their nature, like the one, like what Hero Lambs here is saying. I like those people who come in here and are like, "You're wrong," and then they don't argue anything. In other words, TE users. uh, so in other words, if you're a staunch TE user and you really believe in your implicit value of TE, like me, who is always arguing the implicit values of NE and TI, uh, you're gonna find me like, the problem with this guy is wrong frame, basically. So that's natural. It's gonna be adversaries come in like that, and I'm down to I can handle it all. I am not a what's that expression? Shrinking violet. I'm not a shrinking violet. I'm not an African violet. I can take the temperature. I can take high heat and not wilt. And my poor SI means uh, you won't ever catch me going back and deleting old videos because I don't think they're good enough. Every once in a while, I'll delete something I think is a little offensive or whatever. But no, why not? Because it doesn't really stick with me. My failures don't really stick with me that much. I don't remember them that much compared to some other types, compared to INTPs who get consumed by memories of their failures. Hero Lamb, my scrotum is the most foggy of all of my body parts. It's a faint mist that circles each of the globes that fills my scrotum. So that when I take my pants off, it's like opening the door to a sauna. True story. Absolutely true story. I'm formal until I get silly. And I'm silly until I get sad. I'm sad until I get happy. And I'm happy until I get mad. Yeah. Sometimes Rachel has to get a fan to push away all the mist from my scrotum so that she can see it. Most of the time we're together, she asked me to be a nude model, and she paints my scrotum in oil paint. True story. Most of our time together is spent me modeling, her creating brilliant scrotal works of art, oil on canvas. Deodorant scent, scrotal mist. Scrotal mist is a spectacular scent for a shampoo, a deodorant, a conditioner. You're absolutely right, Patrick Dugan. What is the best any candy? Live streaming on YouTube. By far the best any candy a person can enjoy. This is pure any candy. Summer Davis Jr. I'm Summer Davis Jr. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Don't sweat it, baby. I'm Summer Davis Jr. I'm the Candyman, baby. Maybe the douchebags should use more deodorant on their scrotum figurations. Those are called scroturations. Okay. Listen, Mom, you used the wrong word there. They're scroturations. Deodorant on scrotum is not good. Right. Look, but here's the thing, Gary Chan. For a while, I used scrotal antiperspirant, but then I started worrying about scrotal dementia. I tried the non-aluminum antiperspirant, and just doesn't even work. It's made my scrotum turn green. So I'm back to just speed stick, the old speed stick scrotal, scrotal miss speed stick, you know. Hey! Don't you be comparing me to Kevin Spacey now. I'll tell you something. What I've learned is that Summer's Eve is not just for women. Because when I'm feeling not so fresh, I use a little Summer's Eve down there. It's a little different than when a woman uses it. Because instead of putting that Summer's Eve up into me, I put me into a bag full of Summer's Eve. But, you know, it's like I was tired of smelling like summer's afternoon. You know, in summer I always take a bath when I get home from work, so Summer's Eve for me means I don't smell your junk anymore. I dip my junk in a sack of Summer's Eve. Don't worry, baby. Nah, girl. Nah, I'm clean, baby. I just dipped my junk in a sack of Summer's Eve. Thanks, Double Getta. It is a cool hat. You know why? Because I've got good taste in hats. That's right. I do. I took an online test that said my type of person is A+ hat taste type. I don't know. Do they still make Summer's Eve? What is that? Isn't it just the douche for women? Summer's Eve? Do they still make Summer's Eve? Feminine spray. It's like feminine spray? What do we use this for? Oh, you don't use that, Eric. What makes this spray so feminine? It's for women. But why though? I don't understand what makes it so feminine. Oh, freshening spray. Freshening spray. Guys, you need some Summer's Eve freshening spray. I love it. Love it. Freshening spray. Is there an equivalent product for men? I want to know. I want somebody to too many characters. I want somebody talking with famous people. Scrotum freshening spray. We need to make this scrotum freshening spray is going to be one of my new businesses that I have. And we need to go with a good name for the business, though. Okay. We need to go with a good name for scrotum freshening spray. All right, look. I'm thinking maybe perhaps too many characters again. Why can't I get a reasonable link URL, please? Can you stop with the fucking around and give me a reasonable link URL? Let's try this one. Mass to the long cell. Here, this should work. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm spraying this stuff on my junk right now. Oh, yeah. Smells so good. It smells so good. I just can't get enough of that shit. All right, so I'm thinking we call it something manly. We could call it let me think. What can we call my new brand of scrotum freshening spray? Which would be a good question for an any test. I could gather possible names for my scrotum freshening spray before I name it. Test it clean. Test it. Test clean is a good first attempt here. I want it to. No, it's got to be. It's got to be more like think Old English, Old Spice. That's kind of like, yeah, man, kind of names, but without the word old in it. Ideally, I'm smoking in the house. Fuck it. Just right now, not forever. That's going to be a good name though. I'm thinking like underbrace. Underbrace. Yeah. Or um so it needs to convey sort of the spirit of brisk wind and mountain and camping, like the pine smells of camping and fixing cars, like diesel engine smokes and all that kind of manly shit, right? But also convey like clean air and crisp, like that, like boreal blast. Boreal is a kind of forest. Blast, it's a manly word, but somehow involve the genitals as well. Sensual, secure. Not bad. We're getting there. Sensual's a little girly. Um, Hmm. We'd ideally not have explosive diarrhea in the name. Uh, hmm. What are those kind of uh, the the deepest clean for your sack? That's a good tagline for sure. That's not a good product name, but that's a great tagline. The deepest clean for your sack. Hmm. Marlboro Reds, yeah. We're talking about the name for my new scrotum freshening spray. You can check out the corollary here. Summer's Eve makes a wonderful feminine freshening spray, but masculine freshening spray, uh, not working for me. So I'm trying to find a good manly name to describe what this is. Nutquest. How about downstroke upgrade? Downstroke upgrade. The commercial starts. There's a girl. They're getting intimate, and you hear this zip, and then she's like, "Oh," and then like the the textbook ENFJ frat guy bro helper guy comes in. Time out, bro. You need an upgrade on the downstroke. And then he busts out the product, right? Look, you never know when you're going to get down with that lucky lady. You always got to be prepared. By upgrading your downstroke with the brisk, manly scent of downstroke. That's what it's called. That's the product name. Downstroke. Borealis scrotum rub. That's a great name for the lotion. Okay, so there's a spray, but if you want to really sink the smell in, scrotum butter. Scrotum butter is a better name for actually the. I like scrotum rub. Scrotal rub. You know, Mountain Peak rubbing scrotal rubbing butter. Scrotal rubbing butter is a great name for the ointment. Okay, scrotal rubbing butter. While you're here at Downstroke Incorporated, don't forget to pick up a 10 of scrotal rubbing butter. So, check out the complete line of Downstroke products. We've got upgrade spray. or ride pimp, undercarriage ride pimp. That's a good name for this spray. Undercarriage ride pimp. So the Downstroke Corporation has got a number of products. They've got Undercarriage Ride Pimp, which is their newest scent of freshening spray that's particularly aimed at the urban market. Okay, they've got original uh, downstroke upgrade downstroke upgrade scrotum defense. That's your basic spray, the original spray. Pimp my package. Pimp my package. There's the name. Pimp my package. Thank you. Pimp my package. Pimp my package, or P&P, is the name of the original spray, okay? Undercarriage Ride Pimp was a short-lived, like berry blast Mountain Dew. It was like that, right? It was a different, slightly different smell, had a little more sandalwood in it. Scrotal Wrath Blaster is also a good one. Yeah, so part of the whole Pimp My Package family of products includes Pimp My Package. It includes uh, Downstroke Upgrade Scrotum Defense, which was their original product. It includes Undercarriage Ride Pimp, which is a short-lived product that didn't last very long, and it also, of course, includes the ever popular what's the scrotum rubbing butter? What's it called? Scrotal rubbing butter? Let's see. Yes, scrotal rubbing butter is important. If you don't have rubbing butter, then you could get uh, the powder kind, I guess. It should come in a powder as well. Um, Goodbye, Ghost Rider. I should go too. I've got stuff I got to do today. I can't just sit around here and play live stream all day. I've got to clean. I could clean while I'm live streaming, I suppose. Messages on the down low. Massages on the down low are good for SE tip from ESFP. Massages on the down low? How do you massage someone on the down low? Saul Goodman Lapalosa? Looks like satellite internet isn't going to allow you to watch live streams anymore. What do you mean? And they're kind of pumice for that. Um, okay, so I'm gonna go. Thank you for being here. Yeah, am I gonna go? What was I gonna do? Yeah, I'm gonna go. I got a couple things I need to do. I should do those things. I want to wash the car really badly. I should just do that.